Hello, my name is Robert Green. Today I would like to discuss police sobriety checkpoints and the balancing of the right to freedom and the right to live. I ultimately would like to convince you that an inconvenient flashlight in your face is actually saving lives. In the past 10 years, an average of 11,500 people have died in drunk driving accidents. To put that in perspective, in those 10 years, and of those 100,000 people, 2 of those were soldiers that I were in charge of. And I can tell you from experience that it's very heartbreaking and tragic to write home a letter to the parents of someone who died in combat. And it's even more tragic to have to write a letter to the parents of someone who died due to negligence. So the Centers from Disease Control of the United States, they do statistics every year on drunk driving and everything surrounding it. And the last year that they have completed their findings is from 2024. So in 2024, 11,904 people died at the hands of a drunk driver. 41% of those people were in the other vehicle or outside of the vehicle of the drunk driver. And 59% were either the drunk driver themselves or people in their vehicle. To put that in perspective, an average of 32 people die a day, or 1 every 44 minutes. I say those things to reiterate that drunk driving is a criminal offense and it is unnecessary and it has to be stopped. Well, you say that 59% of the people that die are the victims themselves, so 6 out of 10 are already getting punished for their mistake they made. However, it's not quite that simple. In that vehicle are oftentimes the child of the drunk driver. And of those 32 people that die every day, one of those is a child. So the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration reports that 1 child is killed every day. 13% of those are pedestrians, which means they're either walking to and from school or to a friend's house to play, and they're run over by the drunk driver. 31% are passengers in the other vehicle. That means they're kids that are going to go to the Lego store, or they're going to the dinner with their family, or they're going to a soccer game. And then the most concerning is 50% of those are actually in the vehicle with the drunk driver. That means that the grandma, the mom, the uncle, somebody related to that child has put them in the vehicle and chose to drive drunk. So you may say, who's going to protect those children if the parents aren't willing to protect them? Well, obviously we pay taxes for that. And the police department, that's their job to do so. There are many ways that the police department chooses to prevent drunk driving. They punish the drunk driver by taking away their vehicle capabilities, their license gets taken away, heavy fines. Sometimes they put breathalyzer interlock devices on their vehicle to keep them from driving, but that is after they've been caught and they were just lucky enough to not kill someone while driving drunk. The police department obviously wants to protect the lives of everyone, and so they have to find a way to prevent it. And the way they figured that out is police sobriety checkpoints. The CDC, in their studies, have shown that it is proven that those checkpoints will stop the deaths that result from those drunk drivers. Police sobriety checkpoints are often done very specifically, and it is very thoughtful how they do it. They go through and they make sure that it is during certain times of day when it's most likely to have drunk drivers on the road. So holidays, Super Bowl Sunday, New Year's Eve, St. Patrick's Day, 4th of July, they choose those times and those routes and those locations to where they feel it is most effective to protect the lives of those who are affected by drunk drivers. So a lot of people feel that even though it's saving lives, that it is intruding on the right to freedom to not be searched in the 4th Amendment of the United States. So I would like to read it verbatim what the 4th Amendment says. The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrant shall issue but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. So to be more modern, in more modern terms, you have a right to be in your home or your property, which includes your vehicle, without being searched for no reason. So that comes up to the argument, you're doing nothing wrong, you're driving your car, you're not drunk, you're not doing anything illegal, you're not speeding, your vehicle's in good condition, yet you're being stopped for a couple minutes and asked if you're drinking. Well, the Supreme Court of the United States in 1990 ruled that that is not against your rights and it does not violate your Fourth Amendment. A man named Richard Sitz in Michigan was pulled over, and he felt that his rights were violated to the point he took it to the court and went all the way to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court found that it met the balancing act, or the balancing test, which means that the rights of the people affected by drunk drivers were balanced upon the rights of the people who were affected by the police searches and they were committing no crime. The government had a reason to do it. They were in the interest of saving and protecting the rights of everyone's life to live. How effective it was, and it was proven at that point that it was very effective at stopping it according to the CDC. And the level of intrusion on the rights. They talked about how it's only a couple of minutes of time. So the police are trained to look at the sober driver and can tell from just by having a short discussion, 1 or 2 minutes, and so it met the balancing act. And the key word being that it was a reasonable search as opposed to an unreasonable search as written in the Fourth Amendment. So in my research, I found this chart, and this chart's very interesting to me because it actually shows more modern statistics support that police sobriety checkpoints actually work. So you can see in 1990, there was a 2,000 life drop in the amount of deaths from drunk drivers. And that's after it was ruled that it was lawful and all the police departments across the United States started to do. And you can see that it came down in 1992 and it stayed pretty flatline. Sometime in 2007, it dropped a little bit more. In my research, I couldn't see that anything changed with the police department, however, or with sobriety checkpoints. However, the automotive industry could have a play in that dip, and that's when side curtain airbags came into play, and more safety-related features started happening in vehicles. However, the most important, the key thing that I want to show is that in 2019, there was a 1,000 death spike. And so what all happened in 2019? COVID-19 happened and social distancing rules started coming into play from the government. So the government had to follow their own rules, and sobriety checkpoints tapered off because that violated the social distancing rule. And what happened? No more sobriety checkpoints, and drunk driving deaths increased. So in conclusion, and call for action, I understand you may feel that police sobriety checkpoints violate your rights, and what I would like to convince you is that given the facts and the statistics that I've shown you, I urge you to understand and even advocate for police sobriety checkpoints to save lives. If you still feel like your rights are more important, I urge you to come up with a better way to prevent drunk driving, find a way that police can do so in a safe manner in which they do not violate our freedoms, and that as a community we have to come together to prevent the loss of life, and especially the loss of our children, from the criminal decisions of the few. Thank you.